Up here, see that? Welcome everyone to Monday Night Madness. We are so excited. Last week, Amy and I got to show you our medicine cabinet. People have first aid kits. We just happen to have a first aid medicine cabinet because we have it for all the people that show up on our property. And if anybody needs it. So we had a lot of fun going through that. And there were so many questions afterwards that we were like, okay, we're going to do part 2, and that's tonight. And we're going to share with you the top 6 protocols people need us for. Like if they're on the property or we're out or someone stops in and they're like, they have something going on, it's usually one of 6 top things that we would run upstairs, grab a couple things and help somebody with. I think that's what, isn't that good? Sound good, Amy? Is that a good intro?
Yes, and there were a couple other things that are really common that we took off the list because we feel like we've explained them probably like 3 dozen times over the past like year or two. So that would be like acid reflux. You can find that in the Human Body Master Guide. We teach on that one often. Food poisoning, there's some really basic, simple things for. So we're gonna just go over these 6 that we really wanted to teach on tonight to share our protocols for. And then of course, if there's any unanswered curiosities you have, you can either find that in the Human Body Master Guide, or if it's not in there yet, submit a topic request so that we can stick our researchers on it and put together resources for the Human Body Master Guide on that specific topic. So, but
And
yeah, I'm excited to go through these top 6 ones with you now.
And Anne or Tammy, if you can pop the Human Body Master Guide link to our new program that came out, just so you all know, we created that because people ask us questions all the time. Like literally, I'll sit down at my computer and there'll be 5 questions that are just or 10, and then by the end of the day, I've gotten how many texts. And so we just created the Human Body Master Guide back in 2014. We've been adding to it ever since to answer people's questions when they have a health question and they're afraid, they don't really want to go to maybe their medical doctor or they don't know what to believe online. This is a very believable, this is what works. 25 other doctors and practitioners are in there with me explaining everything. Plus there's 40 more that want to be in there. The number keeps rising. We just haven't had time to interview a lot of them, but we are. So that's what it is. So we can move on, but
No, totally.
okay.
So,
We want to
okay,
talk about
cool.
first thing.
Yeah, I think we should just go down the list.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. I
So
don't have the lists.
headaches are on the top.
Okay. Can I just tell you 2 basic things right off the bat? You guys, the number 1 and number 2 cause of headaches is, well, there should be 3. Dairy has been known for hundreds of years to be one of the top reasons people have migraine headaches is dairy. Number 2 is MSG. I can almost guarantee every single person I've ever worked with who's had reoccurring headaches, it's an MSG headache. It's always part of it. It's people don't realize that. You don't realize it until you're literally off the MSG, which takes a little bit to get out of the body, but night and day difference. And I just have had it happen recently with my sweetheart. He's a man. A lot of you eat out. He ate out, a few times a week, sometimes a couple times a day. He still ate well. He was careful with what he ate, but you don't know what's in all the sauces. You don't know what's in everywhere. And the stuff you bring home. And all of a sudden he started reading labels and he stopped eating out. And he's been married to me for months now with no headaches. He's like, where'd they go? I'm like, MSG is huge. And the third is water, just being dehydrated. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about because we obviously have products that we recommend for that. But those are if you know anybody with a reoccurring headache, you will save lots of money by simply avoiding all of your MSG in all of its dozens and dozens and dozens of forms, because you'll be reading a label, natural flavorings in everything. It's in almond milk. I went and looked at all these almond milks that are out there. There's natural flavoring, there's iodized yeast extract, there's so much stuff in our foods that causes headaches and people just don't realize it. So those are the 3 things I'm going to start off with, Amy, and you can jump in there and I'll follow up with anything.
Yeah, and those 2 foods really fit under a broader umbrella of anything that's going to cause, inflammation or be a neurotoxin in the body. So you have the nutritional component to this, which is like, did I eat anything that is putting my body into an immune system response or exciting slash agitating my nervous system? Now, in those times, I think it's very important to be grateful our body's actually giving us feedback on food, because sometimes we get so frustrated when we get a headache or we get so frustrated when we feel upset after a meal. And I really just want to emphasize that how valuable it is to have that feedback loop with the body to like be aware of what's causing this discomfort. So that's nutritional components. Food sensitivities can trigger headaches. Some people feel it, right after they eat a food that they're very sensitive to. From an anatomical perspective, one thing I want to explain is that, you don't have pain receptors inside your brain. You only have pain receptors on the outside of your head, like around your skull. Um, and you have like, meninges that are in between all the different like tectonic plates that make up your skull. They're not tectonic plates, but that's what I call them. And um tension headaches, like if you're experiencing inflammation or there's like you don't have enough minerals to keep the intracellular versus extracellular fluids properly balanced, or you have tension in your shoulders, like all of these things are the fluid balance, the tension of the muscles, inflammation, these are all going to be affecting how much pressure is being pushed against your skull and against your head. So just remember, pain receptors, if you have a headache and it feels like it's inside your head, you're not actually feeling it, that the pain's not coming from inside your brain. Brain tumors can cause a headache because the tumor causes inflammation and that pushes out against the outside of the head. So sometimes headaches can be related to brain issues because the brain issues cause inflammation and it pushes out against the skull. I remember when my grandma had her bilateral craniectomy. How do you say that? Craniectomy? She had two small tumors removed from her brain during her cancer treatment. Her headaches, she was like a new person. She's like, I didn't even know I could feel this good because all the pressure that was pushing out against the skull was now gone from those being swollen. So sometimes the headache can come from a brain issue, but most of the time it's actually from inflammation or from structural pain. So really important points to look at with the headache. So my headache protocol is, these are like the 4 to 5 things I take myself through. And same thing if it's someone else. The first thing I do is I ask questions about recent changes in stimuli. Could there have been a food that triggered this, or an environmental exposure or something that has triggered this inflammation response in my body. But this, in terms of action items, definitely just grabbing a glass of mineralized water. Like grab a tall glass, put some minerals in it. I might throw some berries in there too, because remember, berries are antioxidants. And what do antioxidants do? They combat free radical damage. And what does free radical damage cause in the body? Inflammation. So berries are like a wonderful way to bring down inflammation in the body because they have extra electrons to spare to combat that free radical damage. So I'll like grab a bottle of water with some minerals, some berries. You can throw basil in that or peppermint, or if you have any fresh herbs, that can go in there as well. That can also be a mineralizer and also just improve the frequency of the water. And then I'll go try to get grounded barefoot outside. Um, Sorry if one of the hosts doesn't mind muting. I don't have the ability to mute. Um, I'll go get barefoot outside and ground the body and barefoot in the grass. And then the last thing is work on tension in my body. So grabbing like a tennis ball and rubbing out like my upper shoulders, or seeing if someone else can give me any kind of like tension release massage. So those are a few different things that can help with the electrical component, as well as the structural and the nutritional components. As far as herbal remedies and tricks go, obviously there's some great essential oils out there for headaches, and for migraines. There's some great blends that combine different essential oils that are really good for alleviating tension headaches, but I just don't want to underestimate. Outside of massage, if it's a chronic thing, this is where also structurally craniosacral therapy, chiropractic care, Atlas orthogonal,
Acupuncture, acupressure, we have those.
acupuncture, all of
Mhm.
those things can help the body structurally be aligned.
And check your eyes. It might be your eyesight. It literally might be that you need to go glasses or you need to have a new prescription made. I will tell you, I'm really glad you brought up, obviously the water, but another thing is blood circulation. It can be because there's not a lot of, you need to stimulate blood circulation, especially when we're sitting all day. Easy way to do that is hop in the shower, put it as hot as you can, for 5-10 minutes, put it as cold as you can for 5-10 minutes. I mean, just alternate that for about 20 minutes and it relieves headaches as well. The steam will help. And then you go cold and it's going to bring that, it's going to it's going to hold the blood vessels and tighten them. And then boom, you put it hot, then all the blood. That's why you do ice therapy, right? Ice is going to constrict those blood vessels. And then when you take the ice off, all this fresh new blood is going to run to the area with all these white blood cells, right? Anyhow, so that can also, that's something I mentioned quite a bit. I do not mention because I do get stress headaches. I know you all wonder why. My life is so easy, but oh my gosh, do I get them? And there's like a knot right in here. And if Amy's around, she just goes in there like on trigger point duty with like hundreds of pounds of pressure. And I'm like, I think I would fall apart. And it is amazing. She presses it down. Greg does it now all the time. I'm not all the time, but whenever I have one, and it takes a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes of incredible pain. And then boom, it's gone and it's completely gone. So we should move on to the next thing on the list here, Amy, but that was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. Those are good tips. And actually, yeah, we can move on. There was one last thing I was going to mention about the headache, but I'm just having too much fun over here in the chat. So,
okay.
oh, this was it. Yeah. So someone mentioned, if you're drinking and drinking and drinking and urinating and urinating and urinating, or drinking and not feeling like satisfied, the water is not mineralized enough. It is unsafe for your body to absorb water that would throw off your like osmotic balance between intracellular and extracellular fluid. So if someone's drinking and they're peeing it out right away, it's because the body's like, I want to absorb this water, but I don't feel like dying from having an inaccurate sodium potassium ratio. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to urinate. So that's why if you have anyone in your family who's an athlete or is outside working in the sun or doing any like slightly above average form of exertion, adding the electrolyte mixes to the water is going to help a lot. Like my little sister who started working out, she said that the Relight blend from Relight, it's by Redmond Farms, Relight, RERYLTE or something. I love that. Their electrolyte mix too, but she said her headaches were like gone after that and it gave her so much more energy. And all it is like sodium, chloride, magnesium, and potassium, the major macro minerals. So that's a great thing to add. And snap, yeah, you got someone on Relight and LMNT who's still feeling thirsty. So it could be something else at that point. At that point that could be related to glucose absorption or a couple other things. So we'll talk about that later, but I'm glad that someone brought that up so we could discuss mineralize. The last thing, you guys, we're coming into summer soon, and a big kicker for anyone who's like outside mowing the lawn, or have any unusual high dose exposure to heat and sweat. Extra important to remineralize, because that's a big precursor to kidney stones, is the level of dehydration that can come from sweating a lot, sweating more than usual without remineralizing water. So just a water bottle is not going to cut it if someone's mowing the lawn or at the beach. This is like one instance where I would say like a sports drink is actually better than water. I know I just said that out loud. We don't like sports drinks, but it's going to have minerals in it, which is what can prevent that, kidney.
So pull an apple or some lettuce. So go eat something out of the ground. Grab some
With
berries.
some minerals, yeah, but
anyway. Don't drink sports water. Food coloring, come on. Okay, it's okay.
I'm just saying, if it's gonna keep you out of the hospital.
Yeah, so it's gonna keep you out of the hospital.
Yeah.
That's all they're gonna give you anyways.
Yeah, you can make your own sports drinks though, with just like lemon and maple syrup and salt and
butter.
yeah. So amazing. All right, Big K, we can move on to number 2. You want me to mention it?
Yeah, tell me what it is.
Bone health.
Okay, good. I am a lover of bone health. So many things can help with bone health. Bone health, I guess right off the bat, circulation is huge. So again, back to circulation tinctures, golden milk, with all your ginger and your turmeric and whatnot, just to keep the body moving and the blood clean. But there's a reason bone health deteriorates, and that can be for a number of reasons. Not enough exercise. Exercise is very good for bone health and increasing muscle mass, but increasing the strength of your bones. There are some wonderful products out there. Some of you saw that last week. Fortify is a great product from Herbally Grounded. Complete Tissue and Bone is phenomenal. Dr. Christopher gave that recipe away before he died. If you ever want to just check out free herbal recipes, go to herballegacy.com. is it Orger.com? Herballegacy.orger.com, Tammy or Ann, I wonder if you can look that up, Denise. Herballegacy.com or .org. It is phenomenal. Dr. Christopher like has all his herbs on there and he gives recipes away. He tells you what to use for what. He's incredible. So all these other herbalists, even like myself, when we had our lab open, we went and looked at his recipes and we adopted many of them and then we improved them. He's been gone for a while, so we were able to add, unicorn root, a couple things to different of those recipes, but complete tissue and bone is phenomenal for strengthening the bones. And then obviously collagen, bone broth can be very helpful, but I need to mention why a lot of people deal with Swiss cheese in their bones, otherwise known as osteoporosis. And you can read this in my book, right? But a major cause is that excess stomach acid that you make, that everybody makes. If it's not excreted, it is stored in the interstitial fluid. So if you have this acid stored in the interstitial fluid, guess what it does? It displaces potassium, and then it'll displace sodium and calcium. And that will cause what? It'll cause bone loss because the body's blood, all of our blood is maintaining almost the exact same pH as each other. We're all 7.369, our blood. And if our blood drops below that pH potential of hydrogen, if we aren't eating a bunch of fruits and vegetables and all those minerals that we're getting from our food, if we don't have enough minerals, as most people don't, they are taking the minerals out of the bone structure, causing osteoporosis. So dairy always causes osteoporosis, period. It can, especially if you're not mineralizing with enough food. So a dairy is a very anti-Karen food because the countries with the most osteoporosis are the ones that suck out of cows. The countries that don't have osteoporosis don't suck out of cows. I don't care. I'm not making it up. So much study done on this. So if you're eating dairy, you need to even eat more minerals and make sure your stomach acid is under control, because the more, and we need stomach acid because our stomach needs to be acidic or we can't break down our proteins into amino acids. So as we're strengthening our bones, and that's great. You can take herbal calcium and you can take foods, that are full of different strengthening herbs. Horsetail is incredible. You'll find that in probably every formula. But we also need to look at, why do I have poor bone health? Am I exercising enough? Am I really enjoying Wisconsin cheese too much? Right? Like, what am I doing that's causing my bones to turn into Swiss cheese? And in my book, I tell you, you flush them down the toilet. That's where it went. You ate it. You ate too much acid, and meat is acidic and dairy is acidic. Doesn't mean you don't need to eat it. You can all eat it, but you need to make sure you have enough minerals in the bone structure. Otherwise, you're going to have a really poor bone health. So we cover a lot about bone health. Mushrooms are great. Vitamin D is so important to bone health. There's great formulas that are out there that can help, different, essential oils that actually help stimulate bone growth, by the way, Lang Lang being one of them, very helpful for stimulating growth. Lemongrass is also great. And some people simply don't, they need to strengthen their thyroid, because their thyroid controls metabolism. So if we're not metabolizing and breaking the food down appropriately that we eat, it can be a thyroid disorder. We are speaking on thyroid this Thursday. That's not public, but I guess we could make that one public. And yeah, we're talking about thyroid disorder because a lot of people don't realize that they're cold because their thyroid's not working. They can't lose weight because the thyroid's not working. They're not breaking down their food properly because of the thyroid. It's not just digestion. We have to look at all the organs. So, okay, Amy, there's my rant on bone health. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Well, just to first of all elaborate on your note about stomach acid. So you all know we do want a very acidic stomach, and having high stomach acidity is a sign of good health. So it's like one of the first steps to good health is making sure the acidic parts of your body are acidic. Like, that's very important. Now, where things can go wrong is if that chyme, which is like that mixture of your food and your digestive juices, leaves your stomach highly acidic and it doesn't get properly alkalized in the duodenum. Now, when stomach acid in the food leaves the stomach and enters the duodenum, there's two main things that alkalize it. Who wants to say what they are? There's two main chemical compounds.
Students, you know this one. Made by the pancreas.
One's made by the pancreas and one's made by the gallbladder. Sodium bicarbonate. That's right. We should have given it more time for more people to guess. But yeah, sodium bicarbonate's a big one, and bile, correct? So those are the two things that will instantly neutralize that stomach acid. So one reason why, foods can have like that's one reason why you could have too much acid in the body is that reaction is not happening properly. There's not enough a strong enough reaction of sodium bicarbonate and bile being released to neutralize it. The second reason can be that as that food continues to get broken down, it's so depleted in minerals that it actually pulls minerals out of your body and out of your bones to mineralize it so that it doesn't turn your bloodstream acidic. And so when Karen talks about, stomach acid not, contributing to bone health loss, I want you to think of it as like the stomach's not to fault here. We love it when the stomach's acidic, but it's that food that is too acidic and not being neutralized, or as it continues to break down, the effects of it are acidifying on the body because it lacks minerals, thereby acidifying the body and pulling minerals out of your bones. So that's how are we clear on that? Does that make sense? So stomach acid being acidic, good. Food does need to be alkalized, and that food should ideally be contributing minerals to your body, not taking minerals from your body. So that's one thing to clarify there. The other thing I want to mention about bone health is, and this actually just goes across the board. Stress, like chronic ongoing stress, just
Yeah.
elevated cortisol and adrenaline, which just so you guys know, adrenaline is epinephrine. So we call adrenaline when it's in the hormones and it's in bloodstream. And then we call it epinephrine when it's in the nervous system, but it's actually the same molecule. So noradrenaline is norepinephrine and adrenaline is epinephrine. So you usually hear me refer to it as epinephrine because I think its role in the nervous system is so fascinating, but it's actually the same compound as adrenaline. So anyway, but if you have like chronic elevated levels of adrenaline and cortisol, that can will also deplete the bone storage of minerals to help like neutralize the naturally acidifying effect of those hormones and neurotransmitters being in circulation for elevated periods of time, for long periods of time. Like obviously in batches, it's great. Don't want it forever. So this is another reason why if you're dealing with someone who's very stressed and it's going to take them a minute to get out of fight or flight, like it's not going to happen overnight, getting them on a good mineral supplement can just be absolutely wonderful, both for their water to get their trace minerals and macro minerals, but then also like whether it's a greens powder that their body can tolerate well. Sometimes they make these superfood green powders that have like 16 different things, and not everyone's body tolerates all of that. So we usually err on like simpler the better, but like the chlorella, spirulina, blue-green algae, um, alfalfa, like those are some great bioavailable sources of minerals. So anyway, giving them minerals. I've even had friends who have tested, muscle tested for their pharmaceutical drugs and asking, is this beneficially effective and tolerable, whether they were muscle testing or using a pendulum to dowse. And the pharmaceuticals they were on, which were psychiatric in nature, so these are where like this can make a big difference in someone's life for the better if it's the right drug. They tested beneficial and effective, but not tolerable. And she's like, what am I supposed to do? It's beneficial and effective, but not tolerable. And I was like, test it again, assuming you take, a tablespoon of green powder every day, or you supplement with minerals. And so she tested it together, her pharmaceutical with the minerals, and it was beneficially effective and tolerable. So she's like, oh, I needed minerals to replenish my body's minerals after I'm taking this pharmaceutical drug, which naturally depletes minerals. So pharmaceutical drugs are another really quick way to deplete minerals. So just you got to bring the minerals in somehow, So if someone's stressed out or they're on, long-term pharmaceutical drugs because they're helping them, which is great, just bring the minerals in so that their bones can stay healthy in the process. And I love people have been throwing out in the chat, nettle tea,
Yep.
comfrey.
All those. Yep.
Yeah.
And Amy, we got to move on to the next
Okay.
one.
Okay.
All right. I know it's exciting. We all the science part of it. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet, and
Okay.
you're amazing. So keep doing your thing. But common cold.
Okay. And then, yep. So the next item, common cold. Yes. Common cold. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, it goes right along with this. It's funny because the common cold, you really mainly get sick because you have a low pH. So minerals are needed to help detect what's going on in the body. So when the body's very high in minerals, the chance of you getting sick is extremely low. So if you're maintaining a 7.2 pH naturally in your saliva and then in your urine, which you can test in the morning, you can test throughout the day, but it's best in the morning. You are going to find that you don't get sick. You're going to get a common cold. You'll get someone will cough on you. You'll pick something up at the park, whatever it'll be. You're kissing somebody, but you have enough minerals in the body to stimulate activity of the nervous system and of the lymphocytes and the B cells so they have all the tools that they need to create the antibody towards whatever you were exposed to. So getting sick in the first place is 100% a reaction of not having a high enough pH. So the number one thing you do is you go back and go, why is my pH low? Stress is a big one for me. I find if I do get sick, which has only happened a few times in the last 20 years, it's when I'm really stressed out. I have been exposed to too much and I'm very stressed, right? I might not be home by all my supplements or being able to sauna, whatever it is. So you'll just find that as you change up your surroundings and you get more stressed, you might be more, likely to get sick. So just be aware of that. That's one of the number one causes. I find one of the number one things to do is oil of oregano. I just can't live without it. I always have it. The three things I always have for someone getting sick or for if we get sick is oil of oregano, which is not the essential oil of oregano. That's really strong. You can use that if you don't have oil of oregano. I recommend oil of oregano, and it is a tincture, and I recommend getting it in the olive oil base. You can get the alcohol base as well. It's pretty strong, so it can be pretty burning for many people, but the olive oil extract for me is my favorite. I do have some alcohol base just on hand because it stores for 10 years. So if it's on sale, I grab it, I throw it in my kit. Because who knows what's coming or what's going to happen. And so, but otherwise, oil of oregano, very important. Another major thing for me, and I showed it to you last week, is olive leaf. So olive leaf is fantastic. I have many, many bottles of olive leaf tincture. I have the Barlean's olive leaf in the fridge. It has such a high uric value, and it is so incredible for healing. Olives are just one of the most incredible beneficial foods on the planet. The leaves, the oil, the fruits, just very beneficial. So that, and then I should have said 4 because I always have oscillococcium, which I also showed you last week, oscillococcium, but then I always have high mineral content food like herbs, like the herbal fighter and herbal defense. Those are just incredible products. And you can find different blends from different companies, but finding that this is what you'll take when you start getting sick. When you first initially get that tickle in your throat, I have just often found oil of oregano, 2 or 3 drops, in some water. And I drink that a few times within a couple of hours. That usually takes care of it. Otherwise, just, adding that. And please remember, when you get sick, your pH is low. So this is not the time to eat low pH foods. You need a lot of minerals at this time. So if you're sick, you do not eat dairy. You do not touch sugar. You don't consume foods that don't have a huge plethora of minerals, right? And vitamins, vitamin C. Remember, vitamin C and sugar, they fight for the same receptor site. So the last thing you want to do is eat sugar because it's going to displace your vitamin C that is coming naturally in the food. So you might eat all these wonderfully naturally high vitamin C foods, and then you eat a brownie or eat some sugar, and you're fighting for the same exact, receptor site. So eliminating sugar, and then obviously bringing in a bunch of vitamin C and D3, if you want 5 things. D3 is incredible. We do usually put people on like 10 to 40,000 IUs per day if someone is sick in our home. That's just, I test them, but that's usually where it falls, between 10 and 40,000 IUs for the first, for the first 6 or 7 days while they're sick, or 3 days, whatever it might be.
Right. And that's obviously not long-term supplementation of vitamin D, because vitamin D is actually a hormone, and it can be beneficial in short doses like that, but you ideally will help your body make it on its own without just supplementing it. The vitamin D synthesis process is actually there's so many steps that it goes throughout your body. So just taking it orally is bypassing a lot of those very necessary steps that are so important in the long run. And so I'm really excited. So we're talking about common colds, and we're just here on Zoom on our Monday Night Madness call for anyone joining me online. So when it comes to the common cold, one thing that I want to iterate is that if your body already can recognize the invading virus or bacteria, the reason why you're getting tired is just because your immune system needs that energy to mount an effective response. Your innate immune system is constantly working all day long. You have like your macrophages and basophils and eosinophils and all these immune cells that are part of your innate immune system that are working constantly. When all of a sudden there's like a big attack on your body, one of your immune system's first responses is to get you tired so that you can go lay down and your body can finish up that whole process. Now, if it's a virus or a like just any kind of pathogen, a bacteria or a mold or something that it hasn't identified before, that's when your adaptive immune system kicks in. And your adaptive immune system, you're not going to start seeing the benefits of that guy between like 3 and 4 days up to 2 weeks later, depending on how long it takes your adaptive immune system to crack the code to be able to latch on to a ligand or anything sticking out of that invading pathogen. And so there's definitely things we can do with colds to help your body rest better, to rest deeper, and to help your immune system be stimulated. So keep in mind, olive leaf extract, oil of oregano, a lot of your common herbs are immune system stimulators, which is going to be good for the majority of people unless they're experiencing a cytokine storm, then they don't need more immune system stimulation. So just keep that in the back of your head. But for most people, those immune system stimulators are going to be good to help your innate immune system mount up a stronger response right away. But sometimes time is just part of the equation because your adaptive immune system has never fought this before. And it just, that's when your lymph nodes swell up and they're literally making millions of iterations of antibodies trying to figure out how to attach to, the ligand sticking out of this new invader and be able to successfully crack the code. So that's just why I want to mention sometimes people are like, I'm so healthy and I still got sick for a week. And it's like, okay, first of all, good. I'm so happy you do take care of your body. And second of all, like just write it out, because that's your adaptive immune system taking time to figure out how to crack the code and kill off the infection. So please raise your hand if that makes sense. If that little explanation of the common cold. Okay.
Well, and Amy, this explains why, like, when you have a child and they have an ear infection, don't rush to give them an antibiotic because
Right.
the baby's body is actually making that, which is why
Right.
they'll never have that same infection again. I don't know if you said that. I was copy and pasting our disclaimer really quick. So
Oh, a disclaimer. What a good thing to read.
I figured today, since we're sharing lots of thoughts, this is just for entertainment purposes only. This is being recorded. You've all heard me say that. So
We're not medical doctors and consult your medical provider before
yes, thank
making
you.
relevant lifestyle decisions.
Yes.
So that's the first thing I want to mention. Someone just mentioned in the chat, like that's what it was like with COVID, right? So many people were so confused with COVID because they're like, I'm so healthy. How come? Like, I feel good. I normally get over sicknesses like that. And it's like, that's great because that's normally your innate immune system just kicking something out. Like, oh, this influenza strain, I've encountered that before. Or like, oh, this little bug, I've taken care of that before. And that's why you normally can kick it out right away. But if it's something completely novel to your body, patience is part of the process because your adaptive immune system's trying to figure out how to attack something that it's never fought before. And it just takes time. Millions of iterations. Um,
Okay.
so
We have just a little bit of time. Maybe you got to keep
okay.
moving.
And then you guys already know my favorite Ayurvedic tea recipe. So I've said it like 100 times, but it's still part of my go-to protocol is the turmeric, ginger, black pepper, honey, lemon, cinnamon, if you have cardamom, and hot water. So that's like my instant go-to for if I start to get a scratch in my throat and then get some sun as fast as possible. Amazing. All right.
And add some lime to that, lime and honey.
Fine.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm just putting it on my face.
Love it.
I even throw apple cider vinegar in there just because. But we'll do that. We'll make our teas on one of our calls. That'd be fun.
Sounds
Carrie,
good.
you remember Carrie or put that in there? Thanks, Carrie.
All right, Big K, what's on the list next?
I don't know. I don't have it pulled up. I just know that was one of them. What's next? I don't know. What's on somebody tell us what's next after common cold. It's on the email list.
I know that AFib was on there, so let's just talk about AFib and irregular heartbeats next.
Which we could talk about muscle cramping because it's kind of the exact same thing. So AFib and heartbeat irregularities, I cannot tell you how many people have done these couple things and it's completely reversed. Like literally, it's absolutely been amazing. CoQ10. Your body makes all the CoQ10 you actually need, but some people's bodies don't make enough, or it's not, or they don't have a gallbladder, which can interfere with many hormones. If you don't know that, the gallbladder is very important because your cholesterol is getting sent from the liver to the rest of your body, and it uses your gallbladder. That's taken out. We have some problem with some cholesterol distribution, which can be a problem for some hormone health. So CoQ10 is amazing, but sometimes we don't have the delivery processes in place anymore, or we don't make enough. So a good ubiquinol, that's the form that I recommend, ubiquinol CoQ10. That's one thing. But the number one thing is magnesium. The heart is a muscle, just like your legs and just like your colon. So if you have restless leg syndrome, or if you're constantly constipated, this is a muscle issue. And so relaxing the muscles with a really good magnesium is amazingly beneficial. There's magnesium rich foods you can take. And yes, this is where you can go ahead and make a chocolate shake and not feel guilty if you're using raw cacao, because raw cacao is very high in magnesium. Throw a couple tablespoons of that in there in a blender with a banana, and boom, you're done. I mean, how wonderful is that? An excuse, right? Your banana is your sweetener and you got raw cacao in there. And this, everything that works for AFib works for restless legs. It's the same thing. I can't tell you that enough. So CoQ10, very important. Magnesium, number one thing. Apple cider vinegar is phenomenal for muscle cramping and for AFib. And so bringing apple cider vinegar into the mix is going to be really important. Don't mix that with your chocolate shake. That would be really gross. So like important in the mix as in the overall mix of things. But anyhow, so magnesium, CoQ10, exercise. These are muscles, and muscles get stagnant and they get sore and they lose their rhythm if they're not used. And so exercising that muscle, if the muscles are hurting when you start stretching and exercising, get some fascia work done or do that yourself. I don't know how many of you used a tensing unit. I love a tensing unit. Oh my gosh, I love tensing. I don't use mine enough. I think we have 3 of them or 4 of them. Anyhow, and so tensing is extremely important. That uses electricity to stimulate the muscles to relax. So you can go in and relax using tensing units. And so that is extremely very don't put that over your heart. But I'm saying your muscles in general are going to be very healthy when you're exercising them and you're moving them and then you're relaxing them. And tensing is just another way to relax the muscles. So for the heart, the last thing is hawthorn berry. Hawthorn berry is so delicious, you'll take too much of it and you can't have too much of it. Like don't take too much of it because you can overdo it. So hawthorn berry is very powerful. And so most of my clients start with a quarter or a half a teaspoon once or twice a day. And sometimes that's too much. That's hawthorn berry. So magnesium, hawthorn berry, CoQ10, exercise. Those are the top 4 things that I recommend for AFib and for heart. And all I can tell you is magnificent results happen very quickly. And they have for countless of my clients. And so that is even some of my relatives have done this, and boom, they're like, oh my gosh, my doctor didn't know what to say. And I'm like, oh, anyhow. So those are the things I'm going to mention right away. I did kind of go into muscle cramping, which I think was part of it because it's to me, it's almost the same thing, Amy. It's just a muscle. Our heart's, the body's not so hard, you guys. It just isn't. We have acid in 2 places. The rest of it should be alkaline. There's acid in your colon, acid in your stomach. Got that. So don't drink alkalized water. Anyhow, because that's ridiculous. But anyhow, and then our body's a big muscle, or there's a nervous system. There's just systems of the body. And so the muscular system of the body, if it doesn't have enough magnesium, if it's not relaxing, if it's not getting exercised or moved, we're going to have problems with it. So I guess take that bird's eye view of the body and realize, wow, if I start taking apple cider vinegar 3 times a day or twice a day or once a day, I'm going to be improving my muscle health and my flexibility. And I'm taking more magnesium. I'm going to have better bowel movements, and my heart's going to relax, right? There's just so much that happens with such a few things you can change. There, that was kind of a long rant. Sorry, Amy.
Love that. So just to wrap up the muscle cramping one, she mentioned the apple cider vinegar. I was at the grocery store. I'm such a curious cat. You can't take me anywhere without making new friends. But I was at the grocery store and this gentleman passes by and his cart just had bottles of pickle juice in it. But not the pickles, just pickle juice. I didn't know you could even do that. You can buy like jugs of pickle juice. I think Heinz made it. And I was like, sir, do you care to share what you're doing with pickle juice? And he's like, oh, I use it for muscle cramps. It's the only thing that's ever worked, and I've stuck everyone else on it too, and they all swear by it now. So that has that vinegar in it. And so like you got the apple cider vinegar or the pickle juice vinegar, and he absolutely swears by that. But a lot of like the traditional muscle cramping, if you have an onset of a muscle cramp, I know people who travel with mustard packets in their purse, on airplanes, or they just keep them in their purse because if they ever start to get a muscle cramp, they just open up the mustard packet and eat it, and the vinegar in that helps to alleviate that muscle cramp right away. So that's definitely one more instant solution for muscle cramp. And if we're going for long-term resolution, again, can't emphasize enough magnesium. And then um and then so keep in mind, your nerves innervate your muscle tissue like throughout your whole body. And so fascial restrictions in the body can end up affecting nerve communication, in what we call efferent nerve signaling, but also afferent nerve signaling, both from your head to your body and your body to your head. And so fascial release, you guys, people can have injuries from like a decade ago or 3 decades ago, or like when they were born, actually, from birth trauma. And that fascia can stay tight their whole life and never get loosened up. And then they start to have symptoms of that restriction in their body later on in life. So I would definitely also include myofascial release in that protocol for alleviating muscle cramping. But the vinegar is like a more short-term solution, and then long-term solution would be remineralizing the body, getting the magnesium up, and then getting some myofascial release done to help to make sure those communication pathways are open and flowing. Yeah. Also craniosacral therapy. I keep on mentioning that, but I have too many friends that was like the life changer for them when they had like sciatica and other issues. Foam rolling. Thank you, Yolanda. I'm so happy you mentioned that. Foam rolling is a huge one. So, all right, Karen, what's the next one?
I don't know. My thing open. I have to go find this email we sent. I don't even know.
Ding, 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 ding.
Indigestion would be next.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we missed that one probably. It's probably way up on the list. I don't know. Indigestion. Oh, this is one where I'm like, Amy, really, are we going to go into that huge can of worms? Because it can be really anything. I'm telling you, all of you should have like 2 products in your home, 3 products all the time. HCl, HCl.
Hydrochloric acid.
Thank you. My gosh, I talk about it every day. Hydrochloric acid, have that in the home. I do not recommend hydrochloric acid with pepsin. Again, I'm Mrs. Anti, don't take any hormones because then your body won't make them anymore. So please don't get one with pepsin unless you feel very drawn to do that. But hydrochloric acid, it can easily help someone who's not able to digest foods and always getting acid reflux right away. But that's helpful. But the other thing is licorice. Deglycerized licorice is amazing. Just make sure you get one without the fructose added. But DGL is what it's known by, DGL. That is absolutely fantastic. You can have that in your home and boom, you start feeling sick or get an upset stomach, something's not digesting right. That is amazing. So go to DGL first. I always recommend having charcoal in in the home. So definitely have some charcoal capsules because that also can help with instant indigestion. Back to apple cider vinegar, you guys. Apple cider vinegar can help with indigestion as well. Those are things. And then the number one thing that we use in our home is ginger. So crystallized ginger. Now, none of us like the sugar on the ginger, but it all comes with sugar on it. And you can get organic crystallized ginger.
Please speak for yourself.
Okay, well, otherwise there's gonna be too much sugar. But I wash my crystal. Okay, I'm probably the only one then that rinses her crystallized ginger off before I eat it. But I've rinsed it for you your whole life too, Amy.
That was the only sugar we had in the household growing up, Mom. Don't deny it. That was like the one sweet thing we had. It was like, oh yeah, my stomach hurts. I'm gonna go take some crystallized ginger. It was the closest thing to candy we had. Okay,
Is that what you did? Oh my gosh,
yeah, you wonder why we went through so much crystallized ginger as kids. It didn't have anything to do with indigestion, if that's what you're wondering.
I can't believe my world is shocked. Eric ate that so much, and that's why he ate it because it had the sugar on it.
We didn't have Swedish fish. We didn't have.
Of course, you didn't have that garbage. Oh my gosh, you're
we
my
have Sour Patch Kids. No, we had crystallized ginger, Mom. So just put 2 and 2 together here. Anyway, please proceed.
Thought of that. Oh my word.
All right, Mother's got come into a moment of truth right now, but it's okay.
This is awful.
We'll hold space for her. Okay, but yeah.
Sarah, watch out because you're like me and you're going to raise your kids and they're going to be addicted to crystallized ginger now. So you be on top of this. Okay. So I throw that out there.
So funny. But yeah, ginger is remarkable for gut health. It has antimicrobial effects. There's so much I mean, I don't want to say there's so much speculation as to why ginger works because we actually know a lot of the reasons why ginger works, because it's one of those things that can be both soothing but also antimicrobial at the same time. And so sometimes a lot of time, so indigestion is such a blanket term for what's going on in the stomach. Is there bloating? Is this from food? There's a lack of enzymes and foods aren't breaking down properly. Is it from a microbiome imbalance that's causing SIBO or SIMO, or um, again, things not breaking down properly and off gassing gases there that are going to cause uh, just pressure in the gut. Um, is there leaky gut going on? You know, if it's leaky gut, then you need to restore that gut lining. Oh, one second. I'm gonna just finish over here. If it's leaky gut, then uh, we want to get those tight junctions, you know, that actually leaky gut really has to come down to like restoring the mucosal layer that's like floating right above all the tight junctions. So, you know, again, that's where humic and fulvic acid can come in. Those are great for the gut lining. There's certain times where colostrum can be really beneficial in repairing the gut lining, as well as your traditional Chinese herbs, including licorice, slippery elm bark, and what's the, sorry, slippery elm bark, licorice, and
Marshmallow root.
marshmallow root. Thank
Marshmallow
you.
root. That is like, if you want to heal your stomach lining and your small intestine, right there is great. Now, not everyone can have licorice because of their medications, but marshmallow and slippery elm, almost marshmallow root, not marshmallows, guys. Yeah, whatever. Anyhow, but Karen said eat marshmallows. So marshmallow root and slippery elm. I have found most of my clients test for equal amounts. If you're like, okay, well, I don't know what Karen's talking about when testing, you can always start with the basic 1 teaspoon of marshmallow root and 1 teaspoon of slippery elm powder in 8 ounces of water. Mix that up morning and night. Great way to start. You might take more than that. And great comments going on. And I know we have a couple more things to talk about. Aloe is fantastic for helping with
Aloe
the
vera,
I
yes.
love that. We just mentioned our top things, you guys, and I'm telling you, I would highly recommend, highly recommend having papaya and ginger in your purse or in your car or your truck because you
And
will.
enzymes.
Yeah, and
And
enzymes,
and
absolutely.
an enzyme. Like I love there's not a lot of supplements I take, you guys. There's not, but if I'm ever experiencing indigestion, the very first thing I take is a supplement. Sorry, is a supplement, an enzyme supplement. Because that's just gonna help break stuff down right away. You know, it's gonna have pepsin, amylase, sorry, it's gonna have protease, which could be pepsin, amylase, and lipase in it, your top 3 digestive enzymes that help break things down. And if you don't have access to an enzyme supplement, which I totally recommend getting a bottle of enzyme supplements, even if you only use it on Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and any other time you overeat and need extra help that your pancreas cannot provide you due to the overeating. You know, even if you only use it for when you've eaten a lot or anytime you're getting gassy and bloated, that can really help. If you don't have access to that supplement, natural sources of enzymes include honey. Apples have amylase. You know, like mom mentioned, papaya has the papain, which is a protease. Pineapple has um, bromelain, which is another protease. Avocados have lipase, which breaks down your fat. So all of these, there are like raw fruits and vegetables contain enzymes, but especially just like a little bit of apple can help, or a little bit of honey and some ginger tea can really soothe digestion. So those are some big things. Felicia asked, how do you keep papaya in your purse? She just means
I have a little
papaya enzymes.
enzymes. Yep. That was a good question, Felicia. Sorry. You can get papaya enzymes, get organic. Oh my gosh, that's one of the very big dirty dozen. If you're getting papaya enzymes, they must be organic because non-organic papaya is GMO, all of it. And so make sure you're getting organic papaya enzymes. They're tiny little, they taste really yummy because they're made from papaya. I have a little, those reusable Ziploc bags. They're not Ziplocs, of course, but they're the ones you can get online. I have that, and I always have ginger and papaya and enzymes. Those are the 3 things I always have in my purse.
and who knows, usually like 3 essential oils and
Okay, well, I have that stuff too, but I'm just saying in general.
yeah, I'm trying to think of the
Now,
most exotic thing I've ever pulled out of your
headache,
purse
bone
before.
health, common cold, indigestion, AFib, and muscle cramping. We're doing
So,
really good.
so just to recap, because we just gave you guys so many things for indigestion. So obviously indigestion is very broad because it could be caused from any number of things. We didn't even get into the stomach microbiome. But Mom, Ariel and I want to take a stomach microbiome breath test because we've never had our stomachs checked and we think it'd be really fun. So just
Well, we're excited. We get to go, Amy and I, and the nurse practitioner, Amanda, who's working with us here at Lily Fields. We're all heading up to Atlanta for a really cool microbiome convention on
microbiome convention. So
Saturday.
there could be issues at any point in your digestive tract, but just to recap, we got we got ginger, we got enzymes, we got humic and fulvic acid. We got
HCl.
colostrum or IgGs, which are not taken with food. Those are taken outside of food, but to help adjust the mucosal lining. And then you got your Chinese, traditional barks, the slippery elm, licorice, and marshmallow root, barks and roots. And then you have your aloe vera, and then you have
We
your
said DGL. We had our DGL and the HCl just to have on
the
hand. But that's
GL and the
instant
HCl.
relief.
Yeah.
Those are, some of these things are instant relief, which
Yeah.
is what I thought we were covering. So I apologize for that. But that's what those are instant things you can take and feel better.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Charcoal, instant for helping eliminate the issue of bloating or something. Charcoal will help eliminate bloating almost instantly. But you're right. When you're dealing with what is causing it, then we get into some of those. So I just want to mention that.
You're right. Those probably could have gone. A couple of those could have gone in the long-term list. But then, yeah, I'm so happy you mentioned charcoal. Charcoal is also the number one go-to for food poisoning because it's a binder and it can bind to the toxins being produced by the harmful bacteria. Okay. So any last questions on the indigestion piece? I know we threw a lot at you. These are all different routes. You can muscle test for that or use process of elimination. Got a quick clarification question from Natalie, and then we'll hit the
You
last.
brought up folate, was that correct?
So folate and not folate, sorry, fulvic and humic acid. Yeah.
Okay.
Those would go more in the long term. I wouldn't take that for like acute relief of indigestion. That would be in the long-term game plan to heal up the gut lining, humic and fulvic acid. Yep. Great. Thank you. Great clarifying question.
So I finally pulled up the email, Amy, and we've covered all of it, except we can talk more about muscles. So I'm very
Wait. What was that? What was that?
So we've actually almost covered everything. We just get to talk about muscles next year.
Covered everything. Wow. That's
Well, I mean, not everything in the world.
We
And
have a
this,
minute.
this is Monday Night Madness, so we don't have to be so professional and fancy all the time. I keep saying that, but
We have a minute to spare. This is so
no,
exciting.
we started like 8 minutes later, 6 minutes
Okay.
later. We can actually talk about muscles right now and be done in less than 60 minutes, which is what
Okay.
we're hoping for.
We're going to talk about muscles. There was one last clarifying question. Do you have to take binders with fulvic acid?
I wouldn't take it with the fulvic acid.
No. So here's the thing, interestingly enough, with binders, they actually recommend spacing binders out from the rest of your supplements, like at least by an hour or two, or else the binders can prevent absorption of your expensive supplements. So if you're going to take like charcoal and bentonite clay and zeolite and what's the one made out of crushed up shrimp and clamshells? Do you know what I'm talking about?
SHIL, right?
Chitinite or something. Anyway, there's quite a few different binders out there. You want to take, and psyllium husk, which is a fiber. You want to take those earlier, like separate them from your supplements so that they can like come through and do their binding thing and not affect the absorption.
Take your supplements out of your body.
And just like bind your supplements and carry those outside the body. So definitely space those out.
For those of you in the Human Body Master Guide, we actually just added a section all about binders. It's not completely live yet, but if you're in the HMBG, you're going to find a ton of information on there.
Very cool. All right, Big K, are we moving on to muscles here?
Muscles. Yeah, I mean, I know we covered some of it already, but muscles need movement. They need stretching. The fascia needs to be stretched because there's fascia over everything. So I walk barefoot like everywhere. I walk barefoot on 67 acres of land, right? I just walk barefoot. I just have my whole life. And that is really enjoyable, except sometimes you need to work your muscles. You need to work the bottoms of your feet. And so I'll find like my feet are getting tighter and tighter and tighter, because if I'm walking over a bunch of rocks and stone, which I do, I just pull my muscles kind of pull together. And so every few months, I really need to break the fascia on my feet. Well, I haven't had an issue since I've been here, and I've been here over a year now. And, but the last week I've been like, oh, my feet, oh, I can just feel it. I'm like, oh, I wish I was where my myofascia specialists are. And I found one here. She's really nice and she's pretty good. She's not phenomenal. Anyhow, and then, oh my gosh, Amy, that crazy weird foot thing that Lana bought for my wedding. She bought one for me for my wedding to use in between. I pulled I was telling Lana, she was sitting right next to me, by the way. And so I told Lana, I said, Lana, my feet are just, she could tell because I was kind of walking and it was really hurting the bottoms of my feet. She goes, Karen, just use that one thing. I'm like, oh, that's right. I have it upstairs. I put my feet in that, you guys, and it's like, it works it. Like if you're looking to relieve muscle pain, you're not going to go for a fluffy massage. Okay. This is not how you do it. Anyhow, and this thing was like knotted into my ankles and I was moving my foot around in there. It was so painful. I was like, this is so painful. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. And my feet are like 100 times better already than just 2 days of using that. So don't be afraid of really working your muscles, and I would get down there and work on my feet, but I'm a wussy. I'm like, oh, it hurts, right? Like, no, but when you don't have a choice and you can like suffer through the pain, when you break up the knots that are pulling that fascia nice and tight, trigger point massage is not pleasant. These are angels of mercy who do something like that for you, but it works. So get some trigger point massage, learn to do trigger point massage on yourself and your loved ones, but pushing into those trigger points, quote unquote, that are literally pulling. It's like if you're stretching your fascia and you're twisting it and you're pulling it out, right? When you can release that fascia and get rid of some of those trigger points, that whole covering of the muscle relaxes. And so just making sure that we're taking the herbs and the supplements that we need, which should be in our food naturally, and then taking the time to stretch and do yoga. And I told my sweetheart, I said, I'm sure this happened because I got so busy with all the beautiful air outside and there's so much to do in the garden and on the property. I just didn't take my time to do yoga the last probably 3 weeks. I haven't done my stretch. I do some, I'll jump in there for a couple of poses really quick, but I just wasn't religious. And I think I just got tight. So I want to throw them there. So myofascial release, yoga, trigger point massage, and be abrasive with your feet or someone else's feet, whoever you're working on. It makes a world of difference. For those of you who are going to be in the Salt Lake City area, we are actually doing a tips and tools empowered combined meeting. Blow your mind. And that is June 8th. So if you want to fly to Utah, it's going to be incredible. It's in person, hands-on, and we will teach you how to do a lot of this. It's in it. We teach you iridology and face reading and mouth reading and tongue reading and acupressure. And we teach a lot. So that's coming up.
Wow, really powerful comment. Felicia,
Yeah.
which technique that was, but she mentioned she had pain on the left side of her body for almost 10 years and it was released in one session, which is she's so grateful for that. So wow. I remember one of my first myofascial release sessions. I went and saw Anetta, part of our community here. And I felt like a lion the next morning. Like when I stretched the next morning, I felt like there was no end to like how far my limbs could stretch. I felt so much mobility in all of my limbs, and it's very light, you guys. So don't expect now there's deep fascial work, which is categorized as Rolfing, but the lighter fascial work, and Rolfing, it even borderlines like structural changes in your body. But a lot of myofascial work's very light, actually. So don't expect it to be this deep tissue massage, and don't feel like, get it out of your head that a massage needs to hurt to be effective. But they'll come over your skin with these things that it just like breaks up all these little fascial restrictions all over your body, or like scraping it, or different kinds of lengthening, and it just gives you so much more mobility. So
now,
yeah.
I don't know. I had her work on me, Amy, and it was not this little, it was still painful. So maybe you are or something, but I mean, she still wasn't the most, I mean, I loved her. She was amazing. I felt like a goddess afterward, like I could fly, but it wasn't as low impact or.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
So
just putting it out there that people should be prepared that
Okay,
they
so-
might be more like Karen, or they might be more like Amy, but sometimes it might be a little harder.
Yeah, so maybe change your expectation on that.
Yes,
The
have no
little
expectations.
the little fairies working on your skin.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, if they're coming to the retreat, you guys can sign up for a session with them. They're just amazing.
Totally. Well,
Let's
those-
wrap it up so we can stop recording within an hour and then we can chat. Sound good?
yay. Yeah,
Okay.
it's wrap time.
So we are also, we're so excited that you came to join us tonight. And if you're listening to this after it's been recorded, we are just so grateful that you took time to press play. We hope you've been inspired with these 6 very basic things that we hear all the time with some of the insights that we've given you. And we do this and we want you to become, so understanding of the body because, why, Amy? You
You
are
are
the
the
master
master of
of your
your
body.
body. Dun, 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 dun,
So you got this, and we can't wait to see you next time on Monday Night Math.